at all. If they play the way they played the other day, we are going to carry the day.
Nice one. Prof, I know you are a serious football guy. What did you see on Friday that excited you?
I think that we have a very youthful team. They did everything possible to frustrate the Nigerians, who were a bit, on top of our players in terms of pedigree. Today, I don't expect a win. I just pray for some draw, either 1-1 or 2-2. What we have to do is to just frustrate the Nigerians again by playing a close game, very compact game. We shouldn't open up, because if we do, the Nigerians will. I mean, back in Ghana, I think the few moments we tried opening up, they nearly punished us. So our players should just be focused for the entire 90 minutes, and then take advantage of any 50-50 chance that will come their way. It's very, very important.
Okay, great. It's a headline in today's Daily Graphic, back page. 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifying playoff Black Stars to upset Super Eagles. And they've talked about how, among other things, the Nigerians have arranged for 100 buses to transport fans to the stadium, to fill up the Moshood Abiola Stadium with 60,000 very raucous fans. And the Ghana High Commission in Abuja is also mobilizing Ghanaian supporters who will be offered free tickets to cheer the Black Stars to victory. Going on, and I'm sure they'll make a lot of money from the stadium, because just our game alone last week, I understand that according to GhanaSoccerNet.com, Ghana versus Nigeria raked in 190,000 US dollars, which is like 4-point-something million. A lot of money was raked in on Friday. So I can imagine what 60,000 people in the Moshood Abiola Stadium is going to bring in for the people. So football is business.
Good business.
Yeah, it's good business. Looking at the pictures from last week, it was 1.4 million. 1.4 million cedis is the highest gate receipts we've ever received. And so it's going to be big business there. I've been taking a look at some of the Nigerian headlines, and it appears that the president himself might actually be at that game today. This is a report from one of the newspapers. It's the Nation Online. The Nation newspaper online is the Nation Online NG. Is going to have Buhari. Actually, the man whose citizens never see him that much may actually turn up.
But Kafi, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the players. You know, the Black Stars are not under pressure at all. Now all the pressure is on the Super Eagles. It's on the Eagles. So if the president also comes to the stadium, then it's going to increase the pressure on the players. But my advice to the Ghanaian players is that they should take it cool. They've already proven that they will be able to dominate the game. They should take their chances. They should just make sure that at least their strategy is to carry the day. However they manage it, they should carry the day. They should not be under pressure at all.
I think the Nigerians are putting a lot of pressure on their own players. I'm looking at the sunnewsonline.com. So this is the online portal of the Sun newspaper, and they are saying, Igalo is saying, we are condemned to beat Ghana. How can you be condemned?
because of the negative impression created. Condemnation is nothing positive.
How can it be positive?
So it means they are condemned to be beaten by Ghana. That's my interpretation to that.
It's just an interesting. You think the pressure will get to them, Prof?
But on a serious note, I don't know why we continue to behave like this as an Africa. I mean, as a continent. I mean, because of a football match, you shut down your ministries.
Yes. I mean, the federal government has shut down offices.
Have they taken into consideration the economic implication of this? I mean, after 1 o'clock, you shut down your ministries.
Yes.
What is this?
I thought it was like a hoax, but then I realized that it came on an official letterhead.
What?
And
look, Nigeria is a football-loving nation. They don't need to close their ministries to fill a 60,000 capacity.
The match in the evening after work.
Yes.
It's not as if the match is being played at 3 p.m. It's after work. So somebody will have to do a computation of the figures and look at.
I hope it's not true.
No. There's a letterhead. There's a letter on an official letterhead, Office of the Head of service.
So
of
because
the federation.
because of a football match after 1
o'clock,
o'clock, I cannot have.
let
no
me read it
business.
to you, my boss. It was dated yesterday, 28th March. It says, attention, all permanent secretaries, FIFA Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifier between Nigeria and Ghana. As you are aware, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be meeting the Black Stars of Ghana in continuation of the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier playoff, into brackets, return leg. 2, there is a need to mobilize support for the Nigerian team. Consequently, I am directed to inform you that all offices will be closed at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, 29th March 2022. Number 3, permanent secretaries are requested to give this circular wide publicity to achieve the desired result. Signed, Dr. Ngozi Onwudiwe, Permanent Secretary, Service Welfare Office for the head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
The boys will just have to win this match for the president. Because
today is his birthday.
Today is the president's birthday. They should just win it for the president. That's all.
That's it. Win it and for all of you who are celebrating your birthday, especially Sarah Agodua, wife of one of our gurus here, Mark himself, Sir Mark. And then Reverend Anthony Azuma. Today's your birthday, 29th. And then Jemima Pierre, who is in the United States. She comes from Haiti, but it's in the United States. Today's her birthday as well, 29th March 2022. Let's give ourselves a nice, big birthday gift of a victory. And that's my like it or love it. Take it or leave it. All right? Okay, good. So away from Black Stars, let's go to update number 28. Which was delivered on the 27th yesterday. It was made all the news yesterday on the 28th about life picking up at the borders. So, Aflau, Elubo, Paga traders excited. It's a big story. Front page of today's daily graphic. That column that shows you welcome to Ghana needs to be painted. I'm not happy with that picture of that on the front page of today's graphic, but I guess that's another story. Life is gradually picking up at the country's land borders following their reopening yesterday. So the Ghana Immigration Service has deployed its personnel to the borders at Aflau. About 400 officers have been deployed. Business activities were at a slow pace. The Togo side is yet to open. So you see, you can open your side, but if the other side says, chill, hold on. So should there have been more conversations on the diplomatic front?
Yes, but I want to believe that the conversations are ongoing. Except that we will have to ease the restrictions and we'll have to make sure that at least the people, the traders see that Ghanaian government is doing what is required of the government. And you know, there was a lot of tension in the country and people thought that, look, their businesses were collapsing. And when you look at the COVID-19 cases, it's dropping day in, day out. You know? So I think it was a good measure. I'm happy the traders are happy. They just take advantage of it, bounce back so that the local economy in those areas and in Ghana would pick up. As for the Togo side not opening is another matter, but I'm sure they will take a cue from what Ghana has done and quickly re-examine the situation in their own country and if need be, open it. But I also advise, even if open, we should step up our game by way of security and then also ensure that once we have the vaccination point, nobody gets into Ghana without being vaccinated. It's very important so citizens can be protected. We shouldn't expose ourselves to the dangers ahead. We've been able to manage it up to a certain level. Let us continue it along those lines. But I think it is a positive sign. You see, in business, the understanding and the expectation alone carries a lot of weight. The very day the president made the statement, the signal was sent, and people started investing. They started calling people that I want to order goods, I want to do this. You know, so now that there's some level of economic vibrancy, people will be happy.
Thanks for that. The Daily Graphics reporter said he was allowed to enter into Togo, but the Togolese security personnel at the border, ascertaining his identity as a reporter, cautioned him not to go too deep into the city. You've allowed me to enter. Why can't I go as deep as I want? They said the border here is too close. We don't know when it will be open. One of the Togolese border security personnel said. but pupils and students who commute between Lome and Aplau were allowed to cross the border.
Yeah.
A similar thing happening at Hamile, up towards the Ouagadougou, the Burkinabe border, at Chianiaho. Somebody was trying to enter Ghana but hadn't been vaccinated, was asked to return if she was reluctant to take the shot. So it looks like people are working. Western region also with Elubo, barely 24 hours after the border had been opened, economic activities were yet to pick up, at the towns, at Elubo and Newtown, both in the Jomoro district in the Western region. So it's going to take some time. I mean, 2 years of closure. Yeah. This is not like a light bulb where you switch it and the light comes on. Heat up like a stove that has been put on, electric stove to heat up. Prof. Malto, your thoughts?
I think this is timely. Those border closures has really impacted our brothers and sisters who live across the various borders of this country, especially when their livelihood depends on economic activities around these border towns. A loss would have been lost by now, but all the same, I think it brings that confidence, just as Doc mentioned. Most importantly, I was a little bit skeptical about the reopening because of what is happening around the various countries surrounding us, Burkina, Mali, and all that. And it's also good that Doc mentioned the issue of security. It's very, very instructive that we need to strengthen our security apparatus around these areas, especially when we know that security threats around our various borders, as well as look at how best we can protect our people, ourselves especially, by not allowing in anyone who has not been vaccinated. It's very, very important that today we may think things are a little bit okay with the numbers. The president announced that most centers are empty now with COVID infected and people. I hope that this pronouncement will not escalate. We may not have any escalation for people to move about. Kafi, the closure wasn't a friendly thing. It was something that I think the government wanted. Indeed, the government would have lost a lot of income on our borders. Most immigration officers, would have to be restationed issues. So it's good. It's a good thing that at least COVID is easing out. Globally. The unfortunate thing is what is happening in Russia and Ukraine today, which is also worsening the plight of most economies because of what COVID has done to the world in the past 2 years. So, Kwame, Kafi, it's good news. It's refreshing that our government, together with the security apparatus in this country, have been able to open the borders for free trade to take place between our neighbors. And let me also submit that there's a need, because if you really want to open up that economic activities between Ghana and especially Togo, the volume of trade is so much, and our people have to talk to the Togolese counterpart to ensure that the border at their end is also open, so that it will now ease out that restriction. You can open your border. If they don't open theirs, it will be very difficult to meet the economic objectives of whatever we have done. So, Kafi, it's a good news that we have the borders open for our brothers and sisters in the border towns to go freely and then trade, and then also will affect some provision of services as well as goods in even the cities. Yeah.
Okay, so those are the thoughts of Professor Malto and Dr. Eric Odro Osai on the opening of the borders. Paga, Elubo, Hamile, Shia, so many areas. So people living in areas like Kulumbugu and Polimakum where you share borders with Burkina Faso and Togo, respectively. Would love to hear from you. Those of you in the Upper West region, with Hamile being that point that connects us to Côte d'Ivoire, to Burkina Faso, would love to hear from you. Hamile, Paga, Aflau, Elubo, what's it like? Is the movement happening? Are you prepared to leave, to go into those countries, but you're not being allowed to enter? Would love to hear from you. And for those of you who are following the Black Stars, I'd love to have your predictions. And in case you missed the interview that Maltiti had with Nigerian journalist Favor Itua, well, he said that the Black Stars arrived late for training at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. And when their time that they had been allocated had elapsed, they were asked to leave. But the Black Stars, according to Favor, said, no, we're staying, we want to train some more. And since they refused to leave, the stadium authorities took out the lights to persuade them to leave. Still, that one didn't help because they still kept on playing in the darkness. If sea dry, you go by land. You know, Ghanaian spirit, you don't give up. Yeah, so that is what Favor claims is the situation. Do you believe him? I'd love to hear from you. 055-556-1034. It sounds like a cock-a-bull story. But if you think otherwise, let us know. Okay? Yeah, that's my view there. And I want to know your predictions. I still think 3. There are 3 goals in this game. But let me know. Yes, I think there are 3 goals in this game.
For Black Stars?
I said there are 3 goals in
Let's
this
just pray for a 1-goal project. Just 1-goal project.
I think there are 3 goals in this game. So let's game, all right? Yes, awesome. And of course, talking Black Stars, there will be a conversation later on in today's show on Qatar 2022, who makes it. And we'll have Abubakar Damba, former Black Stars goalkeeper, and Benjamin Willie Graham, journalist and commentator, to look through the game. And of course, the game, the build-up of the game starts at 3 p.m. on GTV and GTV Sports Plus. So you stay tuned for that. Okay. So we've looked at borders, we've looked at Black Stars, and we are looking at, let's look at COVID-19, because in the update that the president gave, he spoke of a few kind of things. So nose mask patronage has dropped drastically as a result, because now it's no longer mandatory for you to to wear your nose mask, and the Ghana Medical Association is sounding out a warning that unvaccinated persons pose a danger to society because it's obvious that they can infect people. What do you think about this relaxation of the protocols with respect to the masks?
With respect to the masks, I think it is based on advice, except that I was thinking that we could add that indoor programs, indoor activities, you should be masked up if you are attending indoor activities, because you may never know, like you said, unvaccinated persons. So it's good to relax it, except that the business community is complaining. But the way public policy is, whichever way it goes, you can have a section of the citizens complaining. But you have to look at the larger interests of society. So it's good we've relaxed it. But I would also be happy we put in place a monitoring mechanism, because last night Shanghai has closed down. So
in China,
we are not out of the woods yet. So I would advise the policymakers to continue to monitor the situation on a minute-by-minute basis, so we don't let our guards down. But it is a good step. Let's see how it goes. After a month or after 2 weeks, I would expect the monitoring group or the Ministry of Health or Ghana Health Service to come and give us a feedback on how everything else is going. I want to use this opportunity to also encourage and advise Ghanaians that even though the restrictions have been relaxed, like the President said, we should put our lives in our own hands and continue to observe the required protocols, because we are not out of the woods yet.
Professor Malto, no more mask wearing. No more paying of $150.
No more mandatory mask wearing.
Mandatory mask wearing. No more paying of that money at the airport.
I think in our case, I'm very happy that we did not, or the country did not open the system or relax some of the restrictions based on cries from probably other political counterparts as well as CSOs. But you could see that this was based on data. We've never had any dissenting view from GMA. We've never had any dissenting views from the health officers or authorities. It tells you that there's that conscious discussion between government and the respective agencies responsible for management of COVID. Now, indeed, once there are restrictions, economic activities will be impacted, especially when it has become some people's mainstream business to be producing and selling nose masks. I think there was some review within the few days after the pronouncement. It has been established that the patronage of the nose masks has reduced. That is from the last pronouncement. It tells you that people are going to probably lose some level of their disposable income, so those who depend on the nose mask. It's not just a nose mask. It also will mean that those who are highly involved in hand sanitizers and other products which came to limelight as a result of the emergence of COVID-19. So as a country, we should also educate our people that, look, this was a short measure. Ghanaians were not used to nose masks. So if you had probably veered into the production of nose masks, just reorganize yourself and admit that indeed you came in to solve a problem. The problem has been solved. So look elsewhere, see how best you can reorganize yourself and then get something to do. And I also think that the government should also probably come in. You know, there are alternatives to whatever product you have in terms of usage. So they should look at how best we can repackage that industry, the nose mask industry. I don't think that Ghana should...
It was an industry, pa.
Yes. Oh, Chairman, there were a lot of people who went into it. I have friends who have now become, producers of nose masks. Some now sell. I mean, some have changed their line of business into selling nose masks. But Kofi, as a country, I don't think we should even be thinking about importation of nose masks into this country again, because we have the capacity. Companies were established purposely to produce nose masks. We should also have a policy that, look, when it comes to hand sanitizers, people have been educated. People have been given the capacity to produce hand sanitizers. We should not. I mean, it's an industry. We should not be thinking about employing people in there and cut down the importation of hand sanitizers. Look, a lot of my students went into soap production, liquid soap production, within the short period. These are people who need to be empowered. That after COVID-19, what are the lessons? We should not be importing liquid soap into this country again. Let us empower our people who have swayed into this industry. We have this program in UPSA, entrepreneurship, impact entrepreneurship. If I'm not mistaken, within that short period, there were a couple of students who veered into production of liquid soap. These are people we need to flag out, identify, empower them, give them capacity, give them machines to expand their production, and stop the importation of liquid soaps. These are things we should learn from COVID. COVID came as a curse, but I'm telling you, it has been a blessing to other countries, because out of COVID, and Ghana is one of them, out of COVID, we've been able to realize the need to establish companies and also empower people to produce things that were virtually important to this country.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Before we go to the messages, those of you who are wondering, man, you've bought boxes upon boxes upon boxes upon boxes upon boxes upon boxes upon boxes of masks. You're wondering, what do I do with these masks?
Yeah.
Take a look at the screen right now. This could give you some ideas.
Yeah. You can put it to other
You can put it to good use.
Other good use.
Even before COVID, medical nose mask.
Yes.
You go to areas where there are dusts. You put it on. In the Hamatan season, you can put on the nose mask. So
I want to wear a suit like this. I mean, if you know any designer who can, I'm going to send him. I want a suit like this. I want to wear a suit like this. Yeah. So these are good ways to deal with the mask that you've bought. I'm sure the price has come down to almost zero. Okay, Thelma, good to have you here. I don't know whether you'd want to wear a COVID suit like those people.
Not a chance.
Tell me what are people saying about the blackout?
Because you wore the Ulomo attire out and about, and everybody legged it when they saw you.
I'm telling you.
So imagine walking around looking like
with a COVID mask,
like tuberculosis.
No, but it's great, with the bag and everything. It's a bag.
No, you're walking around looking like COVID-19. If it was a human being, don't do that. Don't do that. So your messages are coming in 0555561034, and I just want to pick the ones that have maybe more to do with the Black Stars ones. So what's CAF saying about the Dark Stadium during Black Stars training? How they threatened Ghanaians about the state of Baba Yara Stadium? I support this comment with 100 bags of violets. So more messages coming in. This is quite a lengthy one, so I'm just going to skip to one I saw earlier. And hashtag GTV breakfast, the hashtag we love to see. That's why I scrolled to this one. The best way to get us to read is to use the hashtag. I hope to hear from the president to declare all offices must close at 1 p.m. Like the Nigerian government did. I think I support this comment with 100
This one will be financial loss.
And somebody alluded to it could be because of the traffic situation in Abuja. They know that if they don't ask people to go home early, they might come into some traffic. Perhaps as I scroll through, I'll find it. But here's a key one for our Keep an Eye team. And it says the people of Kolegon, a suburb of Accra near the St. Mary's School, are frustrated about a drain full of garbage. And the residents are afraid that when the rain sets in, it would be disastrous. Therefore, the residents want to use your platform to seek assistance from AMA. So this is well noted. The team will be in touch with this particular person in particular, and then let's see what we can do. In the meantime, can you organize like
community mobilization participation in governance,
clean up
they
the
drain
wait for
government
by yourselves? Okay. And this is the comment I was referring to. They have to close the ministries because of the traffic situation. That is Niger for you. Nana Apia Nuyama is saying so. So perhaps traffic should be considered. And I bet you on Friday, the offices were virtually empty by 3 p.m. 7 p.m. So today is not likely to be much different.
They'll take their own moves without any letter from anybody.
The Black Stars victory today against Nigeria will be the best birthday gift to my dear wife Sarah Amagoda. Happy birthday, babes. This is what we want to see. GTV breakfast is to die for, and we are all for all this love and commitment stuff on our screens, are we not? So here's one. Good morning to your panel and high five to you all. Nigeria is doing all these wonders by giving their ministries a day off because of Jollof. Once they win, it means they gave birth to it. Upon all these noises from both sides, in the 60s, several Sierra Leoneans migrated to Ghana due to recession and taught our great-grandmothers and grandfathers, I believe you want to say. So thank you for sending us the message. Trisha, Kiki Jan is still typing. Aaron is talking about COVID, and it's quite a lengthy one, but he made an earlier point about the football system, and I found that quite compelling. Call a spade, he says. We have a system called soccer, which is an industry on its own, which to some extent needs special attention to put the system running, to make sure the system has a perfect squad, perfect young ones that can take over from the senior players. The soccer industry fetched enough revenue for some economies, a revenue mobilization for those economies that have sat well over the years to build and market their soccer industry very well. My point is, currently we don't have a system called a soccer system in this country. We lost it when GFA and other stakeholders in the soccer fraternity abolished community soccer, and that is community soccer competition. GES made less effective soccer games in academic institutions, and it goes on and on. I'm tempted to think he just wants a system where we can groom young ones for the senior teams, and said now the young ones don't have a passion for soccer. And Aaron Kokomesa is saying that from Latte Biokoshi. I see top. Nose mask wearing, I am afraid, must be scientifically interrogated. The physiology of respiration will uphold this dictum. Charlie, can you just keep it simple so I can? Already, most of us breathe superficially, not deeply enough to access enough oxygen to fuel our cell. Indeed, modern medicine's cupidity and this is a lot has exposed the gullibility of modern. Just keep it simple, okay? The journalist's favor was lying. What about the press conference light off to join Otoado's time? Oh. They can intimidate us, but note they can't beat us. Sure, Kofi Jan Betekun said that. Togbe, play Ghana music video by Togbe Ghana and let's support Ghana. Ghana One Go project. Good morning. People in Jamestown are suffering just for water, is what Mariama is saying. Effa says, how on earth could they do that to our stars? Just keep in mind that stars always, and I repeat, always shine above eagles. No eagle soars above the stars. The stars would beat the eagles by 2-1, get a wonderful Ghana cake and present to their president on behalf of
our president
just for his birthday. GTV else. Breakfast. No sides, man. Effa, I like your optimism and prediction here. Ghana versus Nigeria 1-1, and Ghana will qualify. So this 1-1, does that mean we are going on penalties?
No. Because away go.
So if it's 1-1, then we get away by the away goal rule. Yes. People are very excited about this 1-1. Yes, just a decisive win. A decisive win for me. Good morning, honorables. Hey, say, my tree reading, restrictions on COVID-19 na aye loosed sano. By the way, scoreline for tonight, Ghana 2, Nigeria 1. Mena Hunter Franco Bab is saying so. Let's see if there's any message for me to read more. Ras Bingi, good morning. It would have been an order 2-22, but it will only help cover the rot in our football. The Black Stars is being used as a decoy by our football managers in making Ghanaians ignore how they have spoilt our football. Ghana should come home so we start all over to make our football better. Rasbingi from Accra. Those are your thoughts.
For one Ras. Wagwan.
Trisha, is that good? I hear people say this a lot, that there's a lot that needs fixing in the team, and I completely agree. But if you take 10 Ghanaians and you take 10 Nigerians, you find 8 Ghanaians saying Black Stars will not go anywhere, and you find 9 Nigerians saying they will win. So perhaps let's work on our patriotism.
Yeah, we work on good vibes. We want good vibes.
If they score, they score. It's football. If you're a football fan, you know that it goes 3 ways. You win, you lose, or you draw. So let's just get with it. Good morning, GTV Breakfast. Happy birthday to the President of Ghana. God bless your reign, sir. And indeed, President's birthday today. Happy birthday, Your Excellency. With more English, which I can't pronounce.
Phenomenon. Google it.
What happened? Good morning, GTV. What happened at Nigeria is wickedness, and I'm sure it happens in Africa. It's a very bad act. That's our way of victory. Nigeria has lost already. They should remember stars are higher than eagles.
You know, the stars. This could actually backfire on them, and it will make the stars angry to go out there and win. You know, yeah. So, yeah.
Trisha says we can still use nose masks because of air pollution, especially vehicle fumes. I will still wear them. I will still wear them just to get by, because some people don't smell so great, and they must help us to get through those days.
And it's good for yawning. It's good for yawning. You can be in a boring conference and then you are yawning behind your mask. Yes. You know, you are yawning. And
I wanted to speak about even oral hygiene post mask wearing, but I don't want trouble, so I just want to sit on the nice side of the conversation.
Because if you forgot to brush your teeth, you could just take a mask and
how can you forget to brush
your teeth
regularly?
So don't forget to brush your teeth, basically. Cap, do I have time to read one more?
Yes.
My name is Zampan from Kulungulu. Nothing can save Nigeria from losing, but our Black Stars were not expecting the lights out. But to us, business in Kulungungu knows it's a sacrifice strategy, but it won't work. God bless Mother Ghana.
Charlie, give us more information. I want to know what this sacrifice strategy is from Kulungungu. I need to know, man. I need to know. I want to know.
I don't even know what that
Zampa will come back and give us more.
I'm sure he'll give us further and better particulars in a little while. So Zampa, you're still watching us. Let us know exactly what that sacrifice is, because I think we must contribute to this sacrifice. Anyway, we are looking forward to the Black Stars beating Nigeria tonight, and hopefully you all rally around the flag and we keep hoisting our country's flag high. The stars are in the sky and the eagles, they can't reach. They don't go reach.
Yeah, they were just conducting an experiment. They wanted to see whether the stars would shine in the darkness. So they put the lights off. Okay, so that's what it was. It was an experiment. And we passed the experiment. Okay, we're still going to shine. All right, let's talk about fuel prices now. Because, and by the way, the president gives his State of the Nation address tomorrow. Yes, the 30th, a day after his birthday. We want to see what the state of the nation will be when he makes that address tomorrow. So we're gearing up to that. Fuel prices are supposed to go down by 1 cedi from April the 1st, says the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Is that good news for you as a driver? This follows several engagements that the Chamber has had with the Bank of Ghana and stakeholders to fashion out interventions aimed at reducing the prices at the various pumps. So Mr. Senyo Hosi says additional measures have been agreed upon and are expected to reduce prices by Friday. Direct quote, he says, the key thing that will really deal with the challenges we have with exchange rate interventions that the government is looking at together with the central bank. Come April 1, 2022, we should be able to see a better position on petrol prices. Let's hope it's not an April Fool's joke, because April 1, you know what it stands for. All right? Fuel prices going down by 1 cedi. Gentlemen, you deal with numbers. What's the likely impact of this?
No, it's going to have a lot of impact. When you come to the composition of the fuel prices, some are within the control of government, some are within the control of OMCs and likes, you know. So if government, you know, the address by the finance minister clearly indicated government's intention to reduce it by a certain percentage. Government was also expecting that the other operators in the industry would also meet and reduce their margins. So once they reduce their margins collectively, it's going to bring it down. And when it brings it down, it has a multiplier effect. My message to operators and drivers as such in the industry is that with these new measures that government has announced, the medium-term effect is that it's going to reduce a lot of costs of doing their businesses. Apart from that, the impact of the dollar to cedi exchange rate is something that the government is also managing. With the industrial players now reducing their margin, it is likely that going forward, it's going to even reduce further by more than the 1 cedi we are witnessing now. So we should all have hope in the system. We should all contribute our quota. And I would expect the operators, especially the transport operators, to follow suit and even reduce transport fares. You see, confidence in an economy is critical. Once, this is what we call price-sensitive information. You have the price-sensitive information that things are going to be better. They have started with 1 Ghana cedi or you to reduce transport fares by some persuades. You will get the traders also reducing the cost of the goods in the market by a certain percent, and all the industrial players will be reducing their cost of operations and then their pricing. And once it happens like that, you see that things will start picking up. So it's a good sign. It is a good price-sensitive information. It is having a positive effect on the system. And I like the posture of Senyo Jose, because Senyo Jose is positive. He's seeing all the figures, and he's encouraging his people that, look, there are good signs out there. I would encourage all and sundry to take a cue from that. Things are going to be better.
Things are going to be better, says Dr. Osai. Professor Malto, have you ever seen prices come down in Ghana?
I mean, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. You know, our economic sector is dominated by informal activities. So it tells you that it is very difficult, especially when prices will increase as a result of this perennial, you know, depreciation of the cedi, which impacts virtually every aspect of our economy, and also fuel. In fact, Ghana has not been fortunate in these few days, especially when we are now buying a liter of fuel ranging between 9 to
9.29 to about
to 10 Ghana cedis, a little bit above, super, depending on I mean where you buy it. Yes. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Mine is 9.29. I buy from 9.29.
And Kafi, you see, the unfortunate thing is that once prices are escalated because of these happenings, you expect that when it reduces, it also reduces, but in a part, it doesn't reduce. That's the most unfortunate aspect of it, especially when you have so much, it impacts virtually.
So that's the game changer, right? The currency.
Yeah, the currency is a problem. It's a problem. So you see,
how do we fix it?
Thank you. As a country, we need to look at some alternatives. We know the solution.
What is it?
We know the solution.
What is it like?
Consume what you produce, or produce what you consume.
Okay.
I mean,
but did you hear that we are bringing in banshee from China?
I learned it's not true. I learned it was fake news. Yeah. I mean, I think I've read some correspondence from.
Yeah, because the banshee we have in the hinterland, if we fix our roads and we are able to get them into the city centers, we'll have enough banshee. So why do we import banshee from China?
But is it really fake news? Because the ministry guy was saying that they are bringing it in for industrial purposes.
They've come out to say that it's not true.
It's not true.
Oh, they are countering their own statement.
Yes. I mean, they said it's not true. But you see, once again, like I mentioned earlier, we know the solution. We know the solution. If we do not produce what we consume, you continuously depend on other economies. Kafi, it is only in a part of the world that what is supposed to enhance the economic performance of this country, once we trigger it, then we have issues.
What is that?
Consumption.
Okay.
The American government will put money in the pocket of its citizens to consume what their companies produce in the midst of COVID to stabilize the economy. Kafi, today, if you put so much money into the pocket of Ghanaians, you are enriching the economies of other countries, America, China, UK, because we do not consume what we produce, or we don't produce what we consume. That is the major problem. So fixing it requires, like myself, that short, medium term, stringent plans that these two political parties, I will always say it, I will always make this pronounced statement that look, these two political parties must agree to develop this country and stop using their manifestos to rule this country. That is pronounced. They should listen to us. That when it comes to the issue of currency management, your internal political ideologies cannot solve it. None of them have solved it. The NDC promised severally that we will do this, we will manage it, we have what it takes, tell us what it takes. We know the solution. Before MPP was given the mandate to manage this country, currency management was one major political, argument advanced by the vice president by then. What has happened to it? It's solved. The average Ghanaian just want to go out there, buy and sell, make money to feed its family. That is what the average Ghanaian want. So create the environment for the average Ghanaian to produce and then sell and consume our own. Now, Kafi, you see, like your fear, that even if the price of fuel is reduced, you can only have regulated, industries reducing their prices, like the GPRTU.
That's right.
GPRTU will be impressed upon to do some reduction, but you cannot be sure of the market woman who has increased its product because of the escalation of prices. Okay? Then it also tells us that, look, whenever you touch fuel, then you are touching the entire. When you touch fuel, you have touched every facet of the economy. So try as much as possible to look elsewhere. Now, we have some amount of taxes on fuel. That is why we need alternative sources of revenue generation.
Is that where e-levy comes in?
Thank you. You see, thank you. But you see,
why is everybody mentioning
no,
e-levy?
e-levy. You see,
it's not an alternative.
It's an alternative.
One of the
It's one of
alternatives.
them.
There are a lot of alternatives.
Okay. And that is more sustainable. Do you know why, Senior? The reason why people are talking about it is because it is sustainable. It's an area we are all veering into.
The digitalization.
Look, Kafi, today you cannot do anything without your phone. Have you ever thought of offering your phone for a day. When you wake up, the first thing you look out for is for your phone today. Even the pastors are using it to preach today. Some use the physical Bible again. Okay, it's an area. If you think that is, let's not downplay it. It's an area. Everybody is all companies are going into that area. So if the government want a very innovative ways of generating revenue, then it must go there. It's not just about e-levy. Last week I was
digitalization is important.
Yes, yes. You see,
is important.
Have we asked ourselves the amount of money Facebook is making in Ghana, Instagram is making in Ghana? Have we thought of taxing them? Even though there are some controversial issues surrounding e-trading, okay, but trust me, Kafi, there are people who pay to advertise on Facebook in this country.
Sure.
GRA should be looking at how to tax these people. Last week I was on a program and I received this pronounced text message from Ambassador Sampi Yali, who just asked me, Mauto, have you people probably considered taxing players in the automated
online
platform?
business?
Online business, it is booming. Look, they're not paying the required taxes. People not do businesses in their car boot, in their halls. You just need a phone call to distribute, to deliver to them. And they make good money. GRA should be looking at, and I know, once again, it's dominated by the informal sector.
Yes.
And it's also difficult taxing them in there. So some of the things we are talking about here, it's not just about e-levy, but the e-platform, which, because we are all gearing towards the e-platform, government should come out with a very good policy as to how each and every one will be targeted to also contribute its quota. And you see, paying of taxes is a contribution of a quota to develop this country.
You know, what you're saying, it kind of ties in with who for a long time has been accused of abandoning economics and going into digitalization. And he's talking about and I saw a piece on myjoyonline.com where he says he hasn't abandoned the economy, but the digitalization is what will actually help to strengthen the economy. Just read a bit of the things he said. He says he's responded to critics who have in the recent times asked where he is as far as the nation's economy is concerned, and he says he's been focusing on the administration's digitalization agenda to prevent wastage, improve efficiency, eliminate corruption. And so it kind of ties in with what you're saying, that this is how you can actually get things, for example, getting the e-traders on board.
That is it.
But if you're a lower middle level income or a middle level income country, currently, as we sit, if you are going to buy forms, you do it online. You're going to buy electricity credits, you do it online. You send money to somebody, you do it online. There are people who sit in their homes, you go to online, turnathon.com and the rest, you order, and you get somebody to come and deliver. These people doing the delivery services are using our roads.
I just bought a book recently like that.
That's right.
Book,
you know,
like
so
everything was online.
So if we are talking of expanding the tax network, making sure that you cover those in the informal sector, like my brother said, it is a sustainable way of mobilizing revenue. But again, once we are digitalizing all the other sectors, we need a comprehensive program to rope them in. But what I do not want us to say is that the e-levy is the only source of revenue. That is not. There are alternatives. When the finance minister came out and then spoke to Ghanaians about the revenue interventions, he mentioned a lot of things. You know, so I think the others as well. I am not saying we should leave the e-levy, so that if the e-levy passes, fine. If the e-levy does not pass, we have a plan B, plan C, and plan B, D for this economy to run.
Okay. Hey, your thoughts? Would love to hear them. You want to say something?
And Kafi, you know, I want to admit that, you see, like the vice president, he's one of the consistent people in this country who believes in the contemporary doing of business. You know, the world has changed. And I'm so
proud.
People
want to hear him talk about the economy.
Please, you see.
But you see, not the economy. It's digitalization, not the economy.
Your work will surely speak for you. And I think that is what it's doing. he's not so much perturbed with what people are talking about, but he's so much focused. I've been observing it from afar, and I think I'm so much in love with this man. He's consistent from day one. Tell, look, we can, and today, what he's doing today, Kafi, market, Ghanaians will benefit from it in future. He's trying to introduce some level of efficiency in the way things are done. Look, we are moving from the traditional ways of doing things in the world, not just in Ghana. If we don't accept, his ideologies and beliefs today, we'll miss out of the world tomorrow. So, for me, indeed, why should he respond to every comment? Why should he respond to everyone? But the most important thing that he must do is to ensure that at any given point in time, he should continue to be focused and be consistent with how to automate every system in this country. It is not just about revenue, it's about security.
Okay, not just about revenue,
it's about security as well.
And talking of revenue and security, we can talk about food security. And Russia, Ukraine, it seems to be impinging on our lives in more ways than one, because the Finder is on a story about Cocoa Board warning of possible fertilizer shortage because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So Ghana Cocoa Board is predicting fertilizer shortage for cocoa farmers in the coming years. The Chief Executive Officer, Joseph Boahene Edu, has attributed the impact of COVID-19 and the current Russia-Ukraine war as reasons for potential shortage. So listen to this. I quote, Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus are the three countries producing the base elements for fertilizer production. And with the war there, it means we cannot get the base elements to produce the fertilizer, not only for Ghana, but for the world. It's going to be difficult, so that if that base element cannot be obtained, it means there's going to be a shortage. So we must all brace ourselves that come next year, fertilizer is not going to be there. Even if it is there, it's going to be limited. Why is the Cocoa Board MD speaking like this?
I'm surprised, actually, because Ghana used to be the #1 cocoa producer. And we know that fertilizer is key
part of the whole
in this business.
Yep.
There is a value chain. So as a country, it has been a master plan since we started dominating the production of cocoa. Is it to say that we'll continue to rely on Ukraine, Belarus, etc.?
Pressure on currency again, because it's important.
Can't we develop a local industry for fertilizer, knowing very well that one day we'll come to this level? I think it's about time we develop a comprehensive plan to produce most of these things along the entire value chain. It's not the best for our leaders.
This is going to depress the farmers.
Definitely, but I'm expecting him to come back again and give us a plan or a strategy to engender confidence in the farmers that the Ghana Cocoa Board envisages a challenge, one challenge or the other, but these are the mitigating measures. He should not give us the problem and leave the solution to the farmers. So I expect him to come back again and help the government fashion out medium-term strategy towards sustaining this. And then also tell us what will be the long-term measure to ensure that we'll be able to have enough fertilizers for farmers, because we cannot afford to lose our position as one of the best cocoa producers in the world. It's not the best at all.
Are we not at a huge risk? I mean, relying on Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, now they are fighting, and our cocoa farmers will suffer.
That's what happens when you rely on other economies to produce what keeps your economy going. You see, Kafi, let me mention once again that these two political parties that has duopolized governance in this country, are you okay? Will have to come together. They have no option to develop our country.
But is this not a research issue?
Shouldn't
our scientists
leadership
create fertilizers?
It requires leadership. If you have refused to refine the crude oil, the crude we extract from Ghana, you export everything. That's what happens. You know, one of the byproducts of crude is fertilizer.
Yes.
Okay. So if you refuse to refine oil, then they will come and buy our crude, refine it, and then use the byproduct, add value to it, and sell it to us. Sell them to us. That is the most unfortunate aspect of it. So once again, What are we doing? Look, we'll continue to encourage them. Let's have a plan. If you don't start, you can never achieve it tomorrow. It is not late that in the next 5-10 years, Ghana should have a refinery capable of refining the expected volume of fuel that refinery. It's not just about producing oil, but we may also have other byproducts
which can help the cocoa industry.
We can have. Why should we import bitumen? Bitumen for our roads. You just mentioned that. Look, we have food crops in the farms deteriorating because we don't have proper roads. Bitumen, a byproduct of crude. If you are to refine them here, we don't need to import. These are things we need to do. Even if over the years we haven't done anything, let's start now. That in the next 5-10 years, let's try and harness virtually all the byproduct of crude. Let's reap the real benefit of the oil discovered in commercial quantities in this country. Until then, with the slightest, in Ghana as usual. I mean, Kafi, endemic of turning around or turning over the fortunes of the economy. Then, when you talk about epidemic, which is probably a regional issue, it also affects us. But the most serious one, which is so sensitive, is when there's an economic pandemic. Russia and Ukraine's war has turned around the fortunes of this country. It is turning it to a negative, position. Indeed, what you are saying is real. Fertilizer, about 20% of the importation comes from these two countries.
And they are fighting.
And so it means that within this short period, you need to look for other suppliers. And the turnaround time, the cost you have to incur to change suppliers in this industry. So it is not surprising that today Cocoa Board is complaining. But once again, my senior brother, your submission is solid. As a country, if you don't have immediate and short-term plans addressing a perennial problem, we'll continue to lament. Virtually every time you have people in this studio lamenting over the happenings in this country, and the fact some people don't even want you to say that Ukraine and Russia war is a major problem that has cost. I mean the depreciation of the currency of our currency against the dollar, as well as the food shortage you are going to experience. Do you know the impact will not be felt now? The fertilizer shortage. In the next 1 year or two, you may have this particular problem impacting agriculture in this country. So you don't expect agriculture to perform very well in a year or 2 years' time.
Thank you for your thoughts, Professor Malto and Dr. Osai. We'll read a couple of your messages before we wrap up this segment, and here they come. 055-556-1034. I hope the VAR will still be active. You guys are I love you guys. You're great. People are thinking, George, nose mask is something we should keep wearing. Some cough anyhow. Yeah. Anyhow coughing. You're in the trotro and the person is coughing like there's a volcano. Yeah, they cough anyhow. I like that. Good morning, GTV. I'm Anthony. You see Black Stars losing this match. What are you seeing? Go check your eyes, brother. Check your eyes. Check your eyes.
I don't want to hear that.
No, check your eyes. I'm all about Vim, man. Words are powerful. All right. Jeshurun says, besides, please, I beg this 1.6, 1.4 Ghana cedi reduction will not help. 3 cities will be better. Let's be realistic. Please, we don't have consumers legislation, so no control. You're making points there about consumer affairs. Keep those messages coming in on 055-556-1034. Problem in Ghana is that we know political system is the problem. We have in the country messing up everything. In the day, the import of onions from a dry land like Niger to Ghana is more than 50 long vehicles. It's very insulting to Ghana. Because Ghanaians have people like the Bisa people at Kulungugu who are farmers but no sponsorship. The government has to look at ways to minimize importing of foods. That's our person who told us that the blackout is a sacrifice strategy. I still need further and better particulars on that. Okay, more messages are coming in. Good show, GTV. I'm Ganil from WA, enjoying your morning show. Your analysts are super. I want to say keep up the good work. I'm really getting educated. Super analyst, of course, super production, so super analyst will come. Monica says the starch content for our cassava is low for industrial use. It isn't economical. You need more cassava before you would get your right product. Yeah. That was one of the other problems of Ayesu Starch Company. Brazil's cassava has high starch content. Government must fund universities and CSIR, Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, to give us cassava varieties that have a high content. The companies that import cassava for industrial use would no longer do so. It's just that simple. Yeah. I mean, when COVID broke out, in a couple of months, the South Koreans tasked their app developers to come up with an app that will help people locate where you have COVID in areas, and then you know where to send help. They just empowered them. So everything is possible. If vaccines can be created in a year, what are you talking about? Good morning, Sir Kafui. This is what our Vice President voices out, the Ghanaians. I want you to play the videos to the people. Okay, all right, no problem. Alaji Dawuda says Russia remains a non-member of OPEC exporting countries, but why are they saying that because of the Russian and Ukraine war, that's why fuel prices are high now? Alaji needs some explanations. Hamza, living in Nkwanta Uchi region, your name is Masaudo Hamza Jr. Capello. Happy birthday to Mr. Kufuado. He will receive a surprise today. Okay, I hope it's a good surprise. We don't like nasty surprises. We're winning, all right? We can't talk about the issues of the economy while we are left with COVID. Good leadership under our president will make sure that Ghana will work again. Thank you. What does it take to produce fertilizer? Good question. Como Joseph. What is the cocoa pod after removing the beans used for? Yeah. Byproduct of crude oil is fertilizer and petrochemicals, etc. Weeping for Ghana as a result of our lack of vision. Yeah. What does it take? Good question. Hello, we're going to beat them 1 in front of Buhari. You guys, I like you guys. Good morning, Cap. What is really the problem of paying tax through electronic means? E-levy is just advancement of tax collection. You also create a mechanism for social accountability. Oscar Glanga from Oblogo News Side. For those of you who don't speak of Glanga, Glan is a jaw. And Gan is big, so big jaw. Yeah, so it means he talks very vigorously. I like it. Yeah, we're going to beat them in front of Buhari. Thank you. More messages coming in. Hey, Kafui, what have I done? Yeah? Cancel. Come back. Ghana will smash Nigeria tonight by 2-1. Yo. More messages coming in. Nose masks are good. People are running away from their debtors because of nose masks. My brother, it's true. One guy told me of a story of how his landlord, who he owed rent, actually saw him and greeted him. This is a guy who had been complaining about the mask. Oh, it's too restrictive, I can't breathe. Until the day his landlord actually passed, greeted him and continued. He said, the masks are great. A couple of messages and we're done. Good morning, my friend. How are you? Hope you're fine. God full of mercy will do the great things for us. Stay away from evil. Do good works. Thank you. Professor Maoto, I admire the passion with which you are talking about the oil refinery. If NDPC was allowed to handle the development plan of our country, we would not find ourselves in this situation. So many messages. I'll end it with this one. Good morning, CAF. So our leaders have found a solution to all their problems and failures. Russia and Ukraine. Our motherland. And make us great and strong. Still to come, we have a conversation on, well, an interesting issue that happened, pretty sad. And it has to do with Lamashegu victims crying for help. Our guest is Justice Abdullah. Yeah, you remember him? Yeah, he went to the Supreme Court to test issues, but he's talking about a different issue right now. He's a private lawyer. And then Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst looking at Lamashegu. And that conversation will be done with them. I want to say thanks to my guests who always make it here on Tuesdays to give us the juice. So we've got Professor Mauto. He's the Dean of Graduate Studies at the UPSA, and Dr. Eric Udru Osai, he's the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. Thank you, gentlemen. Predictions, before we go. Predictions.
1-1.
1-1.
1-1.
2-1.
2-1. This is my prediction.
Calf.
We'll be right back.
See you.
Nancy.
Thanks for staying on. It's still Breakfast Live on GTV, and we are grateful that you're watching us today. It's the day the Black Stars have to prove themselves once and for all as to whether or not they want us in Qatar in person, or they want us to e-join the proceedings via electronic means, and we definitely want to be there. But ahead of that conversation, we want to focus on happenings in Lamashegu. And on 13 February 2022, at about 1 p.m., the Ghana police clashed with some youth in the Tamale South municipality in the northern region of Ghana. The incident occurred after some police personnel in Tamale clashed with the youth of Lamashegu after the police on their patrols allegedly stopped an unregistered vehicle, but the driver refused to stop, resulting in the former chasing the latter. The driver drove to the Lamashegu Chief's Palace for refuge, but was given a hot chase and shot at. Infuriated by the incident, the youth of the community reportedly pelted stones at the police and bent lorry tires on the streets, and one of the victims was injured during the clash and rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. The other victims are yet to receive any proper attention from the police, including Abdul Razak Tofik, whose education has been truncated, and we saw scenes of him being struck by a bullet. His face in particular was struck, and he has had to seek medical attention. My colleague Multiti Saida Sadiq was in Tamale, and he followed up with the boy in question and brought us this report. We must caution viewers that some of the visuals are disturbing.
Suspects they pursued drove to the palace, allegedly to be rescued from the wrath of the police. A young junior high school graduate by name Hakim was instantly killed by one of the bullets, and 7 others were injured. According to the Regional Peace Council, in their most recent press statement on the state of peace in the northern region, recent incidents has deepened the mistrust among citizens and the police, which they say is worrying and must be dealt with amicably. However, the pain in Tofik's father's voice tells the story of a people who feel misunderstood and victimized at any given opportunity due to prejudice, and wondering if after 5 brutalities by the police in Tamale, if the Lamashegu incident is the end. Abdul Razak Isa speaks on how his son's life has become grim.
It was a weekend, and he was riding his bicycle home to collect weekly chop money from me. I was elsewhere when someone called that a stray bullet hit my son, and I quickly rushed to the hospital. When I got into the theater, I couldn't look upon my son. His face was terribly disfigured with his tongue hanging out. The first to call on us was the Tamale Central MP, who came and upon looking at Tofik was deeply worried and thought that he should be flown abroad for surgery. He gave us 1,000 Ghana cedis. His teachers from our markets also contributed for him, saying he is a brilliant grade A student. His teachers were crying when they set eyes on Tofik in the state.
He added that the promises by the police to take care of his son's medical bills has not been fully followed to the letter, as the cost of drugs and treatment that does not warrant receipts are more expensive than the ones with receipts, which only cater for.
Honestly, we buy a lot of drugs. We used to buy drugs worth 200 Ghana cedis a day. We buy drugs within and outside the Tamale Teaching Hospital and keep the receipts. The police, who are supposed to cater for the medical bills, say they can only refund monies with receipts. However, the drugs and payments we buy and make without receipts are more expensive than the ones with receipts the police only cater for. When Taufik was supposed to be discharged, we had to run round to clear the bills. The Tamale mayor referred us to the police, who kept finally telling us the receipts will have to be taken to Accra for payments to be made. We still had to go ahead and get money to clear the bills and get Taufik discharged. For now, we are appealing to benevolent people and individuals to come to our aid. We feel abandoned and forgotten, and this intelligent boy could be a great leader of Ghana one day, but he has to be treated well to make that possible.
The
mayor has, however, told us not to communicate with the media again about our plight. But how can we say that when we have been left to our fate and we still have to go for reviews, with the fear that he has been robbed of a normal life and education?
Taufik's senior brother says alternative means could have been used to arrest the suspect instead of the indiscriminate discharge of arms by the police.
Sometimes maybe the tono karanyala mbami onian danye shankabo gogo ko zase zandoma but ma hankale puno wanda atapa guru chante chalo shia kulma.
In my opinion, the police could have been a little more patient, because the suspect ran into the palace and they could easily have walked in and requested that he be released into their custody, but they rather chose to discharge their weapons indiscriminately. All this could have been avoided. We are appealing to the general public, benevolent institutions and individuals to come and assist us with Taufik's treatment. This could have been anybody's son or little brother it happened to.
My colleague Multiti Saida Sadiq put that report together, and once again we apologize sincerely for the graphic nature of some of those visuals. Only we felt compelled to tell the story as it was. Sincere apologies once again. My other colleague Mutala Isa is in the family house in Tamale as we speak, and he will also be joining us with some current updates on the matter. Good morning, Mutala.
Good morning, Selma.
Thank you for joining us. It's not a happy story we just watched with Multiti's report, and this was at least a few days ago when we put this together. What's the current situation of the boy, and has the family received any help at all?
The story I'm getting from the parents, family members of Taufik, who is sitting right here with me, is that they were discharged barely 3 weeks ago, and since then no official has visited them to even find out what the state of the boy is. As we speak, Taufik cannot speak, his face is disfigured, and it will require some level of therapy. If you can zoom the camera for us to see Taufik. He cannot talk, and this is somebody who was preparing to write his senior high school WASI exams next year. As he sits here, there's some level of despondency, and he is even affected psychologically. The boy cannot think straight. He's sad, and I'm told that even physically, he's in a lot of pains, especially at night. Let's see again the face of Taufik. This was a young, handsome man, but as you can see here, I don't know what the situation will be for him going forward if corrective surgery is not carried out, he cannot even speak properly. We have here Taufik's brother and father. I want to hear from him. Since the discharge from hospital, what happened? Sadat, if you can come closer to the camera, tell us. You told me yesterday you were in the hospital. What exactly transpired?
No, at the police station.
Okay, you were at the police station yesterday. What transpired? What took you there?
I went there to ask them, like they were saying that the money that we spend with that receipt, that we should write it and give it to them. So after that, the time that they would discharge us, so we did it and we sent it to the police. They said we should send it to regional office. When we went to regional office, we went there and they said that is the police who is going to pay, so we should send it to the police. So when I sent it to the police, they said unless they go to Accra and consult their bosses. So yesterday I went there and they said that their bosses said they are not going to pay that money. That was what they said, that they are not going to pay. That we should contact the regional minister again. If regional minister to
But how many victims are we highlighting in this?
That they have nothing.
Saying victims.
That was what they said.
So primarily, Thelma, we are with Taufik, even though there are other victims in the Tamale metropolis. But I want to still find a from Sadat, what is the state of your brother now? Apart from the physical deformities we are seeing now, does he complain of any pains, and how are you dealing with that?
Yes, he normally complain pains at night. So sometimes we'll just buy some lower Kursa Slim. If we just take that was on Friday. We went to hospital. I even complained to them. They didn't give us any drugs. I told them, and they said we don't have any drug. And since we come back, every night he's complaining. Even though now he said that he can't even take something again. If he's to eat again, he's feeling pain. So now after this interview, we are going back to the hospital to complain to them to see what they can do.
Thelma, Taufik is not alone in this condition. Yesterday, I was in Lamashegu and I met 3 other victims. Some of them, their wounds are healed now, but they still have psychological scars. There's this young man I met who is still in bandage. His leg was shot, and he told me every day he has to go for dressing. He pays 12 cedis, and that's quite difficult. He said he's been left to his fate, and he's just out there. Nobody is attending to him. He also told us that since he was discharged, no one has visited him.
Mutala, I almost do not know what else to ask you. I just want to find out how Taufik, you say he's unable to speak. It's hard for me just watching you, and I have no words to describe what I'm feeling right now. I just want to find out from you if there will be more efforts by the family to reach out to officials for help now that they are being told to contact Accra and they've been bounced off from office to office. What's the way forward with this?
Thelma, I'll be speaking to the family on what is the next step, but you can understand if someone sits in Tamale and tells an average family, contact Accra. Accra is not a human being. Who is in Accra? If you tell me to contact Accra, am I coming to GB? Am I going to the Ghana Institute of Journalism? Am I going to the IGP? Who am I supposed to contact in Accra? Ideally, somebody in Tamale is supposed to be leading efforts on the part of this, what's the name, on this family, on behalf of this family. The other dimension, I think, is that this responsibility lies squarely on the Ghana Police Service, the Northern Regional Police Command, to handle, because it was their personnel who got involved in this shooting incident that disfigured, nearly killed this brother. Look at the face. It is quite terrible. He missed death just by a few inches. Anything could have happened. If this bullet had penetrated through, what could have happened to this young man? Even then, even though he's alive, his life is I don't know how to describe it. It's quite challenging, because if you cannot speak, if you have a disfigured face and nobody's attending to you, you have psychological scars, nobody's attending to you, what happens to this young man? Let me find out from Sadat. What do you intend doing from now?
Now we are just we want to the leaders, our leaders, to come to our aid. Because yesterday, when I went there, I even asked them, because the time that they discharged us up to now, no even one person have come to visit, except our assemblyman. Apart from the assemblyman, nobody has come just to visit. Yesterday, I asked the police, and they said that because what I said is true, so they will then sit and discuss and find a day and come and visit. So I asked them, so because if I didn't talk, it means that you will never come and visit us. Just pleading to the people, anybody who can help us, to come out and help us so that we will get better treatment.
Thelma, you heard Sadat's Taufik's brother. He's appealing to the general public. If you are a human rights lawyer out there, if you are touched by the story of Taufik and you think that you can do something, please, this is the time to show love. Thelma.
Mutala, if you could put another report together, perhaps giving us a contact, somebody there with the family that we may perhaps, or our viewers may be able to send little bits of help and assistance to, I think that would be of great import. We are adopting this as a project on the Breakfast Show. We want to see this through, but until official help arrives, where do people send help to Taufik and his family?
Until official help comes, we will have to put together a story, get details of how you could help this family immediately whilst we are waiting from hopefully we will get that through, and then we'll forward that to Accra for onward broadcast. In the meantime, please, let's look at our brother here. He cannot even eat. It is quite challenging. He cannot sleep. He cannot read. For someone preparing to write WASSCE exams next year, it must be a traumatic moment. He's just a teenager. And I don't think that this is the experience we should live with a growing young man about the nation called Ghana.
Thank you, Mutala. I think I would leave you to the family now. Do extend our sincere, heartfelt thoughts to them, and then we'll put ourselves together and then reach out to the people who watch us and get help for Taufik in our way. My colleague Mutala Isa has just been speaking to us from the home of young Abdurazak Taufik, who was shot in the face during the police clashes with youth of the Lamashegu community, and the family is telling us they have received very little help. We are trying to get some help to Taufik and the family, and we apologize once again for the disturbing nature of those visuals, but the reality begs the photos. And we have at the table this morning Lawyer Justice Abdullahi. He's a private legal practitioner. You may remember him for petitioning the Supreme Court over the voting rights of a Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Justice, welcome once again. Next to him, Dr. Adam Bona, a security analyst. He will also help us analyze this situation from a security point of view. Dr. Bona, good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
I'll pick your initial thoughts on what you've just seen so far, gentlemen. This is a boy who was just riding his bike home, and his father gets a call I bet no parent would want to get, and it says your son has been shot in the face. And those events have culminated in the scenes we've seen this morning. Your thoughts?
Well, these are very gory images we all saw. And the young man, probably my son's age, or my son could be older than him. So you can imagine me as a parent. I get up either one evening or one morning, and you are told that a stray bullet hit, your son. How would you feel? And to that extent, the neglect, and for me, that is the saddest part of this whole thing. And it isn't that we as a country don't have plastic surgeons in this country. We have a reconstructive unit in Korle Bu. So how much would it cost us? Must the family be self-medicating, buying drugs, and they are being told you don't have receipts for certain drugs? I thought that someone would have flown the young man to Accra with some family members and taken care of him to a point where he has fully recovered. And whilst that is ongoing, they receive some psychological, assistance for family and the young man. You can see, nice young man, handsome young man, and he's been disfigured and he's been left, at the mercy of the family. Anyone watching this, this is very, very sad, and I have no doubt the president is in Tamale today to commission some flyovers and interchange. I think these things are very important if you know what happened in Ejura. And this incident, you could see that some amount of unprofessional conduct by the police officer or the police who discharged the firearm. And I would urge calm, the brothers and sisters in the Tamale metropolis, because this doesn't speak to who we are as a people. It does not speak to who we are. How much would it cost to, others, I think one of them lost his life or something, and he is still alive, and we cannot. How much would it cost to, bring him, fly him to Accra, take him to Kolebu, and ensure that his medical bills are taken care of? For me, this is beyond imagination. I have no doubt that we have to ensure that the young man, I think when I hear that we need justice for him, it must start with ensuring that he receives the right medical care. Then the other aspect of, let's separate the justice aspect of it from his medical care, because that is, we need to do it. The state has to do it urgently. And I've heard, we would all want to call, support his medical, but I think it shouldn't be our duty to do that. This is a state agent discharging a firearm and injuring this young man, and we cannot say we don't have the resource. How much would it cost to to get him, even if we have to fly him to the best medical facility in the world? How much would it cost?
Justice, some of the officers involved have been interdicted. Some are facing a court over their handling of this incident. I'm not a lawyer, but just off of my emotions, I can tell that a lot of human rights have been trespassed here.
Sorry, I don't know whether I can find my voice to express the deepest of worries in these circumstances. I think the unprofessionalism is just too much in this country on the part of our police service. Just a few weeks ago, we were discussing how some recruits were made and how we get unprofessional, in fact, people who were otherwise not qualified into the Ghana police service, and which is alleged to have resulted in all the cases that we are witnessing recently. And this completely takes away in fact, all the defenses that were put up by the police administration regarding the unprofessional or the recruitment that we've had over the period. It is alleged that for the past 20 years, we've had a very, one of probably political or some form of recruitment that do not meet the standards. And I think this just points to some of them. And if you ask me whether this breaches any right of a person, I do not think you need to be a lawyer to know that when a police officer wrongly shoots you, when he could have actually, like the boy, the Sarat said, it is normal for the driver, whoever was being arrested, to probably escape. And he didn't just escape, he escaped and sought refuge from a notable office that anyone at all could have simply walked in and demanded his release for a proper arrest to be effected. But somebody decided to show where power lies by shooting indiscriminately. I do not think any of these persons were armed at the time that the police was in the environment. I do not think anybody threatened the life of the police.
But this is what has become of Taufeeq now, and we just saw that seconds ago,
Thelma,
in front of our screens. This
boy was not
what
he wasn't armed. That's
now.
what I'm saying. None of the civilians were armed. I haven't heard anywhere that said that the civilians were harmed or killed, were armed in any way.
Dr. Bona has told us that the police would pay for this.
But that's where I was coming to.
But what legal avenues are available for this boy and his family?
Not just this boy, including the deceased and
the other victims
and those other ones who are in a fairly stable condition. All these persons, regardless of the circumstances, I would wish they come together because we all know the cost of legal services, and for people like this who are, we all know the poverty situation within the area. In fact, we saw Taufeeq's family house. It shows a little of the sort of welfare systems and the level of poverty there. If they could come together, I'll be willing to support the GT's drives, volunteer to be their lawyer, front for them, if need be. I think it starts with engaging the police administration on a paper to see how best we can seek not just. I mean, I heard my senior brother Doc saying that we should separate the justice from the medical bills. We cannot. The welfare of the children, whether dead or alive or injured, goes hand in hand with their medicals and then also justice to them. Indeed, their family members who are traumatized are also entitled to compensation in law. They did not occasion any of these, and they must be compensated adequately. The times lost, all of these would have to be computed and compensated for. And for those asking them to go to Accra, I think they are highly irresponsible and they should be condemned, particularly the regional command. I think that they should show more leadership in some of these events. I think every regional office has some small amount of welfare fund that I do not think is so difficult to, in fact, even if they have, the funds for petrol and other logistics, if you take 1,000 or 2,000 cities to support this whilst waiting for Accra,
you're assuming that the funds are even up to 1,000 or 2,000.
Thank you. Well, considering the fact that they're buying medicines 200 cities on daily basis and more, if you give even 5,000 cities to support this family whilst waiting, and you can easily justify this, whilst making the case in Accra for adequate compensation or some additional medical bills or welfare, and if they felt, in fact, in addition to all this, if they felt so strong about our unavailability of resources, they could easily bring him to Accra. We have a police hospital in Accra where this could have been easily taken care of without anybody having to pay any extra money to someone else outside of the police administration. That way, everything will be centralized, and the cost implications, whether receipt or not, known. And these are so easy to be done. And for them to renege on all these and pretending that they are probably entitled to shoot whoever they wish to shoot, because that's the kind of attitude you're seeing from the regional command, that nobody really cares. Sorry, nobody appears to care about what has happened. And the district command, that you would expect that they are closer to the scene and they probably witnessed these things and they probably occasioned some of these things. You would expect that they should rather show more leadership, engage the regional command to also come on board and see how best they could help some of these families. But failure to do that, we probably may have to take the legal ways and get these people the sort of justice that they deserve and the compensation that the family and the kids would also deserve. In fact, they need to be, in addition to all these surgeries that we are talking about, this kid needs that psychological support to prepare himself for the life ahead, particularly his education. You cannot simply truncate his education and because you've given him 1,000 or 2,000, so that should be the end of it. This case needs continued support for as long as the need be. And this really questions our welfare systems as a country in general. I think we should have the police, or in fact, our security agencies in general, we should have that sort of emergency funding that would go, because this is not the first time you are hearing a stray bullet hitting someone. On a daily basis, we hear some of these things. Indeed, it is the reason why we no longer have the night patrols, that volunteer night patrols that we used to have in our systems. Because on a daily basis, people were being shot in the name of killing or shooting an armed robber. They shoot an innocent person. And so people simply had to walk back and allow the police to undertake their business. So point remains that we have to put in place adequate emergency funds so that cases like these would have the support without necessarily having to wait on Accra to make a decision. I think this is highly unfortunate. We need to condemn police for this kind of reckless conduct. And we need to put it to them that they need to do the most appropriate thing to take immediate remedial measures to, forestall the continuous occurrence of some of these events and protect, in fact, take care of this kid for the rest of possibly his life, because this is just too unfortunate. I was asking my senior whether he has made any attempt to reach out, because he's in the security agencies, and so
Dr. Bona,
he's quite close to them.
Justice is alluding to several things, that we can't separate the medical from the fight for justice for Taufeeq and the other victims of that shooting incident. He's also alluded to the kind of attitudes that policemen have had with the trigger-happy behavior that we saw in this incident. Surely we should all be very worried, because Taufeeq was not the one being pursued. He was just riding a bike, perhaps a friend going to pick up something to prepare for his wasi, and now this is what his reality has become. Well, this is the law enforcement agencies that are supposed to be protecting us, and if that should fail, they should rally around and give us whatever adequate support is needed. That hasn't happened in Taufeeq's case.
Oh yes, I would want to thank he's also my lawyer, Justice Abdullahi, for volunteering to represent Taufeeq and probably the family. We need to acknowledge probably and thank him in advance for volunteering. But I think if the family, if they are watching us, I do believe that they would have to contact yourselves for council's number, because it is important to start looking at this, immediately. We are very willing to connect the families, yes, and Justice Abdullahi, so that they can fare of the set. But I just wonder, how badly has the police failed the family, and by extension all of us? The IGP, or at least a representative of the IGP from the Public Affairs Office, assured the people of Ghana via a statement that the police service would take care of this situation, and an apology was issued. It appeared that to a large extent, because the boy's father said they had received some help and they had received some contacts, but to a large extent they've been left to their fate, and it's almost like business as usual, with bureaucracies being thrown at them every step of the way. I just think there is a disconnect, because the regional minister is someone I know very well. I do know the regional commander, the Northern Regional Police Commander, Bonga, Yosa Bonga. These are people who I work with. And so I'm trying to, wrap my head around why they have not been able to fix this issue. They should have fixed this issue. Shouldn't have actually come this far. And so as I live here, probably I would have to find out from them what has happened, because this is an issue that probably the state-owned media shouldn't call it, should be celebrating and saying that the police and then the regional minister and his people have done what is needful. So if we have a big, the oldest, call them oldest media house in this country, being concerned about this, then it means this is a big challenge. So I would engage them. But you see, when it comes to police professional conduct, unfortunately, my engagement with the police hierarchy lately tells me that they are improving upon their standards. In the past, if you know, unfortunately, the Bullion Van, the slain officer who died, persons like him, unfortunately, and some other people went to police training for just some few months. And some of us thought that it wasn't the best. And so you go to Institute of Journalism. If you are doing a degree, I think it is now 4 years. If you are doing a diploma, I think it's about 2 years, right? He is a lawyer. You know the process you have to go through to become a lawyer. You know where I am. You know the process you go through to become who I am. And then you are training a police officer armed with a deadly weapon, and training in the past. Some of them went for 2 months, 3 months. And how can such a person be trained and be, weaponized or given a weapon to go out there and interact with civilians? And just like, Council alluded to, these were unarmed civilians. Civilian police or civilian security confrontation, you can never stop it.
I mean, I'm getting details about the use of even water cannons. And
yes,
then someone comes to make the argument that, oh, they were using it in training and it broke down. So when they have to manage a crowd, they don't have the benefits of the water cannons. But there's also rubber bullets.
Like
so
he said, no, it was...
And I'm trying really hard to just rein myself in, because if I was Taufik's parent, if I was the brother or the sister, I guess I would feel exactly the same kind of anger.
It was an unnecessary and uncalled for, unprovoked attack, if you ask me. You are chasing me for maybe you think I've committed a crime, and I don't think so. So I ran into a chief's palace. Where else do you recognize office? Where else do you expect me to seek refuge?
That's asylum seeking.
So he's gone into a chief's palace. He doesn't,
He didn't even go to his private home where he can call for attacks.
Even if it was, what do you call it, the development chiefs? How do we call them, the development chiefs? In Nkoswahin. Even if it was an Nkoswahin's palace, it is still a palace. You could go in there and say, we need this person given to us. You didn't. You went in there and started shooting. I mean, for me, it's despicable, but then I think that looking at what has happened, we are told that some of the officers are facing interdiction and prosecution and all that. I am believing, and I do, Dr. Dampare is someone who is very, so that is why I'm surprised. I do believe there's a disconnect, because Dr. Dampare, I know, will not sleep over the job and allow, this thing to happen. I mean, other cases, he swiftly dealt with it, ensuring the family and the victims are well taken care of. And, officers who were involved probably punished. But unfortunately, whoever told them that they should come to Accra, I would want to know who told them, come to Accra and come and do what? Who do they know in Accra?
And Murtala said the same thing, that are they coming to Accra to meet the...
Who do they know in Accra?
Are they coming to GBC?
It is the state's responsibility to bring them to Accra. You are not bringing them to Accra to come to the IGP's office or come to Attorney General's office or the lawyer's office. You are bringing them to Accra, getting medical assistance for the young man, and ensuring that maybe psychological counseling, compensation, and all that. So if he cannot write his exams, I mean, I know that those who have kids who did the Cambridge, at a point when COVID struck, they would look at you and do some secondary school. And so mine is that all these things must play out.
There are a lot of ways of dealing with this.
So let's not kid ourselves and allow
that is the irresponsibility
because the
I'm
point
talking
is
about.
That if we sit unconcerned, flying bullets don't discriminate. You get caught one day and everybody else would watch. And this is a young man. I mean, you can see, I don't think he's even 20 years old. And you have a flying bullet fired by a bullet that we paid for.
Does it also
by an officer we paid for?
Dr. Bona, that sometimes people accept postings to places and they already have preconceived notions about the place. And so in the case of this shooting incident, whichever officer felt threatened, felt the need to discharge their weapon because of prejudices that they have about. And I'm hesitating to say this because I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way, but people from the north is what sometimes people say. and so instinctively they feel threatened by the North.
I don't, it could be. I mean, I am from the North, and I tell people that it's a probability, because if you look at the incident that happened in Ejura, you know, this is a predominantly Zongo area in the Ejura area, and they fired into them. But I usually try to shy away from that conversation and dwell more, you know, into professionalism, because doctors don't treat people with those biases. Journalists don't speak to people with those biases. And so mine is that we might have to probably conduct some survey to tell, you know, the psyche of an officer who has been armed and deployed to a certain location, to be able to tell whether if you were deployed to, let's say, Sabon Zongo, or deployed to Abu Abu in Kumasi, or deployed to Nima, as against being deployed to some of these areas, how would you behave? Do you go to Sabon Zongo or go to Nima, you know, all jacked up, ready to shoot? Or you would want to go in there and, you know, calm nerves and ensure that they, you know, you bring order, peace and order in the area. And so mine is, we need to probably talk more on their professional training and conduct. Because or else if that conversation has come up, even if you look at Asawa, what's the name? Ayawaso West Wagon. You know, those who fired on those Zongo, those young men who were shot at, were, you know, those who fired were from the Zongo, and those who were fired on were also from the Zongo. And so it tells you that there's a lot that should be taking place in our mosques. There should be a lot that should be taking place among the communities, so that I think that notion, we can dispel it. But for now, I would want to say, well, investigations would have to continue into this case.
Justice, you wanted to react, and we have to pick some messages. Your messages should come through to us on 055-556-1034. And once you send those messages to us, we will go over and read some of them. Justice, you wanted to react to some of the things Dr. Abuna was saying. He's also spoken about training for police officers. Do you think it will be enough?
See, Thelma, I can understand how maybe what has become known as Zongonji could affect the mindset of whoever deals with a person allegedly from a Zongo. But you see, that is a very nice escape route to simply maltreat a person, if you wish to do so. Because it is unthinkable to assume that simply because a person bears an Arabic name or speaks a particular language other than the language you speak, is enough for you to disrespect or act in a condescending manner, or probably even treat him the way some people get treated. It's completely wrong. Regardless of your misconceptions, I think police, in fact, in policing in particular, there are standards of engagement. The rules of engagement would require that at every point in time, the barest minimum of force is used. And even where you feel threatened, it's so clear how you disengage the other person. But shooting indiscriminately cannot be an answer. It is never an answer to your misconception of where the person comes from. I may not come from the North or wherever, but how does it affect my treatment of a person from North?
Yeah.
I honestly think that mindset is rather tells on you, the individual, treating that person that way. Dealt with. It is not a person from the North or the person from the Zongo. I do not think so. I think that, I mean, Taflache, we've had a president from the North. In fact, we've actually had two presidents from the North.
The vice president, the current
we have
vice
two
president.
vice presidents from the North. These are gentlemen by all standards and definitions. Solid guys. Indeed, as we speak, one is probably threatening to become the third president from the North.
I do not have the details of that particular claim, but we are calling for justice
the point remains
for Taufeeq, and we are joining the family this morning to ask for the police administration to pay an eye to the plight of the boy and his family, as well as other victims of that shooting incident in that Tamale area. And your message has come through to us. Kaf will read some of them now. Yes? Okay, I'm told that we'll hold on just a tad bit longer, but I just want to wrap up with you, gentlemen, before we have to move on to the next conversation. And I just want to ask, what should be the way forward, perhaps from the security perspective, and then for the family of the boy and the other victims? So what should the police service do now to even make up for any of these lapses and gaps, as you've alluded to, Dr. Buna?
Well, the short term, I want to look at it, in 3 dimensions: short term, medium term. So the short term, I want to, urge the family to quickly liaise with, Justice Ablai, Council, to see how this thing can be put together. And the short term, I would want to see the regional minister, the police regional commander, and all those in the region who are supposed to be responsible to ensure that this boy is brought to Accra. I don't know if the Tamale Teaching Hospital has got a reconstructive department or unit that will be able to get him back to his normal self in terms of face. And so I don't think they have it. I stand to be corrected. But I would want to see them bring him to Accra, and some family members, ensure that he's taken care of. And then whilst the other aspect, compensation and all those things are getting discussed, and I would want to urge that they shouldn't go into any compensation, without involving a legal person, because sometimes some of these things are done without, reading the small print. So they should do that. And then the long term, I think that the police must, as they have started, should continue to train a lot more of their officers. They should train them. I have asked that most of them who entered, if you go back to check, I'm sure those who fired this firearm would be people who would have joined the police service in the last 10 years. And I say they should go back and check their, reprofile them. Go back and check, reprofile, because most of them, I must say, not so suitable, but they can be trained to be suitable to, do the job. And then the officers who undertook this dastardly act, I would want to see them punished severely to serve as a deterrent to others who probably would abuse citizens in this manner.
Punished severely is what Dr. Buna is saying. Would it be fair to say, if once the police service pays for some of the medical expenses, they should also be made to personally put something up? Should they personally some of these things?
For the officers, as my senior brother has said, they would have to be taken through the due processes by prosecuting them and ensuring that indeed we get them to face justice as the law demands. In addition to that, for the family, I'll strongly urge them immediately to get a medical assessment of the child's condition at this moment and the possible things left to be done. They complained, if you watch the videos, about constant pains, inability to eat, inability to talk, and a host of other complaints were made. All these things would have to be assessed, and then the possibility of working on the, surgery on the cheeks in order to bring it to the normal position that it used to be. We need to assess all these matters. And then we need to possibly look at how we can, going forward, put him in that kind of psychological support that he'll be able to come back to himself, be able to face the world at large. This could be another John Mahama or Dr. Baumia that we are all witnessing today. And so any support that he needs to be given, we have to give that out to him. For the rest of the family members, I think all of them need to sit down at this moment. They need to tell their story, have it written down. Because if the police do not take action, immediate action, they probably may have to end up going to court for adequate compensation if the police do not act. And so they need to put everything together. They need to write everything by way of expenditures that they are making, sufferings that they are going through, the traumas that they've experienced. And this is not just limited to Taufik. It includes all those who are also probably are still at the hospitals or treating themselves at home. They all need to know their story at this moment. They need to put down all the evidence that they have. Because at the end of the day, if the police do not act or act well, we would have to take immediate steps to get them down in the Republic of Ghana. And I would urge the president, today being his birthday, to take advantage of this day to visit Taufik and his family.
Especially when it's in Tamale.
Just a kind word. Some soothing word would be enough. Just to put, sometimes, it gives you that feel of belonging to the Republic. And I think that's something that I would urge the president to do as on his birthday, in addition to anything else that he would wish to do for Ghana.
And we know that the president is in Tamale, so perhaps
this is a very good opportunity.
Part of his itinerary, albeit it must be coming very last minute. But your comments are also important to us, and we are reading some of them now. Here's a key reminder someone is asking. I said, good morning, the Lamashegu incident should be condemned by all, but in doing so, we should also avoid demonizing the police unnecessarily. They also put their lives at risk to keep law and order. And Emmanuel is reminding us of this. Monica is making an appeal to Dr. Dampari. Please help in getting this young boy's disfigured face returned to its normal status. I know you can do it. Dan says, good morning. Dr. Justice Abdullah is talking about the district police units having funds sitting in their coffers. I don't think he has ever worked in any public institution. Contingency funds are almost always inadequate or non-existent. And he's suggesting that GTV launches an appeal for funds to help some of the victims. And I read that message particularly because of that last line, because we are willing on this, via this number, to accept any help that you would have to offer. So anytime after 10 a.m. when we are not live on air, you're free to message us or call us to set up anything so we can put it together to send to Taufik and indeed the other victims of that shooting incident. We want to take point on this one. So we are putting this together. The Breakfast Show team is going to do that, and we are calling for Taufik and the other Lamashegu shooting incident victims. So thanks for saying that. Efwa says, Ghana police, please, has Dampari traveled? Is the question she is asking, and this is quite a long one. BFS, the securities are not helping to calm down situations at all in the northern and upper east region. Most of the conflict happening there is because of some of the security personnel maybe are taking sides following orders from their big men. That's according to you. And the key call, these are comments made by people and they do not represent GTV's thoughts or opinions on the matter. Hi, Thelma. I think it's time the police conducted background checks for all police personnel aimed at eliminating the bad ones. The image as at now is very bad. SB Japan is saying this from USA. Nairam says, good morning, GTV Breakfast. I think something must be done on this finger trigger happy officers in the Ghana Police Service because a lot of police officers don't really know how to do their jobs. Maybe training errors or protocol recruitment system we always use in the recruiting process. Jeff joined. I think we are not safe in this country as citizens because the police can just shoot and kill you and no one cares. Really bad. Justice must prevail quickly before the youth reactions. Jeff from Comet Estate. We always believe in resorting to the law. We don't believe in anyone taking the law into their own hands. Thelma, it's not only in Ghana. In the UK, police use aggressive measures in certain areas, which I cannot mention. Trisha is sending us that. Here's the number we've saved as Prezi. Says some of our security personnel are unprofessional. Even simple talking politely is a problem. Imagine yelling at you, hey, as if you are a criminal. You immediately get frightened and tempted to run. When other countries' police calmly use please sir or madam to address their clients. We need to upgrade our police services. And Nana K says, I wonder why police officers think they have the law in their hands and can do what they like and go free. A boy of 13 years was arrested and beaten. When I confronted one, he said he has the right. Okay, and this is quite a long one. I'm trying to find as many messages as I possibly can, and I think that we've made some well-made points. Bureaucracy in the police service and unprofessional conduct of the police must be dealt with as soon as possible. It's a shame to leave the victim in this state. And that is from Gloria, thank you for sending your messages across to us. Of course, we support some of your comments on this particular topic, especially when it comes to getting help for young Taufik and the victims of the Lamashegu shooting. I'm going to go back to the gentlemen, Justice Abdullahi and Dr. Adam Bona, who are in the studio, and I'll pick their final thoughts. Dr. Bona, you've heard what those who are watching us are also saying. What will be your final comment on this?
I think I need to correct an impression. Someone said the UK, they use whatever. The UK police don't use...
They don't carry guns.
They don't carry guns. They have the firearm squad. And so when there is a situation, the first respondents to the scene would have to do the assessment. If they think there is a firearm involved, then they would evoke the firearm squad and invite them to come. And so they don't use firearm. Even in Ghana here, it's not every police officer who uses firearm. You have the MTTD and the rest. And so with this, we are talking strictly, about the unprofessional conduct of some police officers. Majority of them are professionals, but, the few of them who, without any provocation will pull the trigger are the people we are talking about. And so I would say that we should continue to support the police. I would urge calm in the Tamale metropolis, because there is some tension also brewing between ECG, NEDCO, and some residents. I think I would urge calm so that we'll have peace all over this country, and urge that this particular dastardly act committed. I mean, looking at it, the police will not have any answer. And I know Dampare would act, the regional commander, the regional minister, the minister of the interior, and the powers that be, the president. And remember, the vice president is a son of the North, and that is his backyard. And he's the chairman of the Ghana Police Council. And so I would want to see all of these people rise up to the occasion and ensure that victims, especially this young man, given the necessary support to want to be part of this country. I mean, this is when leadership must show that they love their citizens. This is what I would want to add.
Justice Abdullahi, I'll give you the last word on this, yes. Especially because you volunteered to offer your services pro bono to the Taufik and the other victims of the shooting.
Yes, indeed, and of course in collaboration with GTV. So I think that message needs to get out there clear, that we are all in this together, and I keep emphasizing on citizenship, participation in getting this country where it needs to be. And this is one of the few things that I would like to do to support all of us, particularly our brothers who are now victims of this. Now, we all need to understand this, and this goes to all of us, indeed, particularly for the police and the security agencies, that no amount of compensation is adequate enough to put a person who has lost a jaw, a person who has lost his life, a person who has lost a limb or something. You cannot adequately compensate that person. So we should never think that when we talk about compensation, it puts the person back where he ought to have been. It never happens that way. This is simply to show some sense of remorse, to show that we care. What has happened, there's nothing we can do about it. However, we believe that with this, maybe we can pick up the pieces and move on in life, because nobody can put back your limb. Nothing can be done in such instances. And it is indeed because of that every time we pick up the pistol or any gun for that matter, we must think twice before we trigger in fact any part of it, because you can never direct where it ends up. You can never pick it back. You cannot do anything about some of these conduct. And so we should be very careful at every point in time in dealing with weapons in general. And Ghanaians would always be, in fact, I was just reminded that this could have been the commander's son. This could have been the IGP's son.
Yeah. I think this
could have been the vice president's son. I think it only happened that it was a poor man's son, and so we have all neglected him. We can't do that. We must put in place adequate support systems for all of us.
Justice Abdullahi, private legal practitioner and a volunteer to represent the families of the victims of the Lamashegu shooting incident, a course that GTV Breakfast is adopting, and we are naming this Justice for Taufik. Justice Abdullahi, thank you for being a part of this journey. Dr. Adam Bonai is a security analyst, and he's also been helping us understand the security implications of this particular incident. So remember to reach out to the Breakfast Show team via our WhatsApp number 05555 61034 and help us find justice for Taufeeq. Use the hashtag justice for Taufeeq so that we know that you are reaching out to us because of the justice situation in particular, and help us to get some answers to the victims of that shooting incident, and we will be glad to partner with you to get that done. I see that the next segment is ready to go on air. We are looking at the Black Stars game against the Super Eagles of Nigeria tonight, and the ticket to pick up for Qatar 2022. We'll be back after this break with that conversation.
Thelma, I think
in the first 2 years, your baby will experience amazing growth in so many ways. To fuel it, they need the right nutrition. With Cerelac, 1 bowl of goodness a day provides the wholesomeness of carefully selected grains, the Iron Plus, which helps support brain development, and the yummy taste baby loves, assuring you the right nutrition in 1 bowl. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom. This advert is...
Hey, tell me what? Tell me what? Hey, tell me what? Tell me, here.
Emma will worry me. Watch me, you come one with me, said the community. Oh, now,
yes. Oga, nothing. Senior, name me and you more cut down my business is a collapse. I'm out of bounds. So, won't take quick credit, Inga? Quick credit? Yes, quick credit. Who Pesica? Eddie Astatia, you may be. Who here be seen Eddie Atru with your DM? We are government and a private worker. Who Pesica till horses? We are Busumi Juma. Who here Sicadia be temper so quick credit Bema will loan and what you and Kakra. Now, and let just some Cassian say, a collateral free loaner, Susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as MBL. You hear and say, Wagana card 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now 1 hour young. Who need excuse here? Quick credit to 03022 90 and 05969 20833. But still not quick credit.
My
to have with a sports journalist / commentator. He was at Babayara last Friday, so you give us the lowdown on exactly what happened. And then the other guests looked at me and said, "You have the frame for a goalkeeper." And I felt very flattered. And I looked at him, and the man himself looks like he could still play today. I have with me former Black Stars goalkeeper Abukari Damba and journalist / commentator Benjamin Willie Graham. Welcome to our warmer side of the studio.
It's a pleasure.
Good to have you here. Coach,
good to have you,
see you.
Good
and Coach is a GFA and CAF instructor. What does that mean?
Yes, it means I am into coaching, educating coaches. That is my passion.
Fantastic.
I love to teach the game, not only on the pitch, but also the theory of it.
Fantastic.
What really goes into, the aspects of football.
What did you learn from Friday's game against the Eagles?
A lot. And I must say, positives. Looking at the last performance in AFCON, of the team, comparatively, the team was excellent. In as much as we could not score, but we have cause to feel that the future looks great. It's not just about what is going to happen today or what happened on Friday and what is going to happen today, but going forward, we do have positives to take away.
Benjamin, do you share coaches' optimism about the shape of the team from Friday, today, to the future?
Well, I think I am particularly excited for one thing, because if you look at what the coaches are trying to put together, and I've had some discussions at the top level, it is not just for the 2 games between Ghana and Nigeria. Because mind you, in June, we're playing qualifiers for the African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. So they are not looking at just qualifying for the World Cup, but they are looking at building that team that would also qualify us to the AFCON. And then subsequently, if there's a need for us to win the Cup, we should be able to have a team that all of us believe that will be able to win the Cup. So the whole process now, it's for the future. So it's unfortunate that the litmus test is rather against Nigeria. Not that we're playing against a smaller side to build a team, but we are playing against a very big team that I would say that had gelled at AFCON, and so they'd never had issues in terms of player calls and all that. And players who, for some of them, are playing the very first game for Ghana, and are playing the very first game in front of that Babayara crowd. I mean, either two will be in Cape Coast, but so some of them had never seen the crowd before in Ghana, and some of them too are not too sure the sort of reception Ghanaians will give them if they are not able to give off their best. But we did see flashes of brilliance. I mean, I was particularly excited with Dennis Odoi. This is a young man who is Belgian. He says he's more Belgian than Ghanaian in a previous interview. And then he comes in and he's playing as if he played for Hearts or Kotoko before. I mean, he just was bullying his way through, and he shows the commitment level. Elisha came in halfway through. You also saw even Kudus, who was just coming from injury, was willing to give his best. Everybody was fighting for the ball, and I thought that was exciting. So for me, the whole process is not now. It's for the future.
Okay.
And what we saw, what we have seen, is a team that we can rely on when the clarion call comes in June for us to qualify for the AFCON.
I'll come to you shortly, Coach, but just staying with you briefly, you did commentary for the first leg. What did you
No,
see?
I didn't do commentary. I was doing something else.
What do you see that makes you interested in, hey, we can do this?
I think it's one, the commitment level. And again, let me also, statistically, if you look at Nigeria is excited playing away from home. And if you look at the qualifications, they've always won big away from home. See, Nigeria lost to Central African Republic at home. Nigeria played 4-4 against Sierra Leone at home. They were 4-0 up. They ended up drawing that game at home.
We'll take some of that today. If you get 4-4, we are through, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take 4-4.
So the point here is that
yeah.
Away, and then after losing to Central African Republic, they went away and won. After drawing with Sierra Leone, they went away and won. So when they knew that, oh, whatever the case, we're going to get a goal, because for them, they are good at away from home. Now the pressure is on them.
The pressure is on the Nigerians.
The fans are going to demand more.
Okay.
And that is where they are not comfortable playing.
Okay.
And if we take that advantage and also go in there and say that, you know what, we are here to fight. Listen, there will be surprises.
There will be surprises, says Benjamin Willie Graham. I'm going to come to you now, Coach. So with your coaching eye, what do you see that we don't see when you see the people playing?
I will start from a very controversial angle. Jordan Ayew. A lot of fans will always see what they want to see in Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew is a fantastic talent. The roles and responsibilities given to Jordan Ayew on the day, granted that sometimes he goes wide and stays too long on the ball. We agree on that. But the grounds that Jordan covers in the game, offensively and defensively, if you look at the statistics and look at the data, the guy works so hard. And that is what we fail to see with the non-technical eye.
Which is the majority of Ghanaians.
Absolutely, from the fan base. And we can forgive them because they are fans. But then we need to understand that this is a technical game. So we shouldn't take our emotions against this boy. Jordan deserves more. And I can tell you, the way he was treated when he was being substituted, somebody who wants to give his all for Ghana, then he's treated like this. What signal are we sending to the rest?
What happens to a player when he gets treated like this? I mean, what do you tell a player like that? If he's your boy off the pitch, what would you have told him
the coach,
with that reception?
Coach Ado, seeing it all and knowing exactly and what emotions goes into it, solved the problem. Even when the player was coming out. You saw the hug, and he whispered into his ear. And all that I can, imagine he said to him was that, you are the man, you did your best, I'm satisfied with you. Insofar as the coach says to you, I am satisfied with your game. You did what I asked you to do. You are okay, you are good to go. That's it. And of the sins, of course the coach said, I take all the blame. And I believe the boos were at me, not at my player. So the player is okay, he's good to go. But sometimes they even see worse playing outside the country. So far as racial abuse and all that is concerned, he has seen worse.
So you think he's strong enough to absorb
he's strong
all
enough,
of this?
But he will ask himself the question, for my own people that I think will give me all that I need are doing this at me. So are they justifying what is being done to us abroad so far as racial abuse is concerned? These are the questions, the lingering questions. But it challenges him that I need to score to let the fans know that I can do it.
So you think, and I'm going to come to Benjamin now, that with all that's going on, you think the players will be challenged to score and win this tie with all that's happening in Nigeria, with power cuts and all kinds of excuses that we're hearing? What's the effect of all this on the psyche of the boys?
Two things. Football fans rely solely on statistics. And over the past couple of years, after the exit of Asamoah Gyan, if you are looking at the arrowhead for the Black Stars, I tell you what, it's been a real struggle. There are those who felt that Jordan would certainly go and fill the shoes of Asamoah Gyan and then lead the team.
Those are big shoes.
In terms of the striking. Even if he's not going to do 100%, he probably would do maybe 50 or something like that. But that's not a story. And it goes also to his club level in Crystal Palace. And even I remember when Vieira took charge, he even, reposed some confidence in the boy and said that he definitely knows he's going to do better. And if you look recent times, he's been starting or coming from the bench, which means he's even losing his starting role at Crystal Palace. But of course, when it comes to the Black Stars, he's still the #1 striker for us. But the goals have not been coming, even through the qualifiers into AFCON and all those things. So the fans are beginning to ask questions. So is he the only person we have to get us the goals if the goals are not coming?
Is he?
So that's the question.
No, I'm asking you.
I mean, left me alone, I'm disappointed that we haven't really been able to find anybody to help us. If Jordan is not firing, who is the striker? In this game, who was the striker? I think it brought on Elisha. So if you do proper strikers in Europe, I tell you, there's never been a season over the last couple of years that we've had a particular striker scoring more than 20 goals. If you combine 4 or 5 strikers called out for the Black Stars, you would never have that statistics.
That's why we do the one goal project, right? We don't score goals.
Well, it's not necessarily about having that one goal, but you see, it's a worry to all of us. I mean, Fabio Capello, just about 2 days ago, was talking about Osimhen, the Nigerian striker, and how he's been banging the goals for Napoli. And the fact that those players who are scoring, who are not Italian, scoring the goals in the league, their form had even hampered that of Italy. For that matter, they are not even qualifying for the World Cup. So you have that statistics there for a particular player in another country. But if you do that same analysis for Ghanaians, it is not the same. And so it's a worry for most fans that our top strikers are not scoring even at home and in Europe. And then if you come to Ghana and you look at our local league and you even have somebody scoring, listen, the player who's leading goal Kinchat in the local league is a Cameroonian.
Yeah.
Not a Ghanaian. So that is even a worry to all of us. That even in our local league, it is a foreigner who is leading the goal Kinchat. And then do same for our players abroad, and you can't even get a Ghanaian who scores 10 goals a season or 15 goals a season. It's not the story.
Today we'll be happy with 1. If we score 1 and they equalize, we'll be happy. We need to get to Qatar.
But you see, we don't, you know, or because I'm a technical person.
Yeah. Yes, we like your technical eye.
Goal scoring is an art by itself. It is not the prerogative of only strikers to score goals. Let me veer a little bit. Let's look at Manchester City, for instance. Who is their top striker? Who is their out-and-out arrowhead?
You used to have Aguero. Aguero is not there. Nah,
Aguero is not there. But even with Sterling, does he play as an arrowhead?
No.
No. So it's an art. Goal scoring is an art. And I agree that we need to up our game so far as goal scoring is concerned. We need to make conscious efforts to do that. But even if you're not doing that, how can we achieve the goal scoring?
Yeah.
It is for which reason now we have technical persons. And I'm overly impressed with this group, this crop of technical eyes that we have. Let's just look at the last game we played. Afenajan, very young, 23-year-old boy, very young. But let us see his work rate. That was just one aspect of it. So what are the coaches going to do to give him some other player who will complement his efforts? That is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And it was just unfortunate Kofichira was not very fit in that game. Because he's another person, another player who has demonstrated at the AFCON that he's somebody we can rely on when it comes to goal scoring. So it is a gradual process, just as you mentioned. Do we now have a purpose, a sense of purpose going forward in terms of improving on that aspect of goal scoring? I think it shows that we have it. We have the players who can do it. So it's now left to the technical persons as to how to come out with that.
So that's the point. And just to buttress that one. So even if we have the arrowhead, let me go back to Ghana, Nigeria in 2008. So you have a certain Asian who can score. You have a certain Stephen Appiah who can score. Then you can talk about Derek Boateng who can score. Agogo was not your typical bulldozer with a ball on his feet and can take 2 players on. All he needs to do is position himself in the 18-yard or 6-yard box. As soon as the ball comes, just taps in, and then that's it. So that was how Agogo was positioned there. Even if you don't have a striker who can just bulldoze his way, you only need that person who will just do the tapping when the balls come. There are some balls where it's just sent into the 6-yard box, but follow up. And if you look at the strength, you need a striker who has also got some stability, who can also bulldoze his way through. It's unfortunate that Boachi Adam also picked up an injury, another technical player who can get us the goal. But I think that is just beside the point, because in this particular game, we were not likely to have some players available because of injury. But looking at what the project is, it's AFCON 2023. That is the project. This game, yes, we are all happy we want to qualify for the World Cup. But I tell you what, those in charge are looking at 2023.
Looking forward to 2023. We are looking forward to 4 hours from now 5 hours from now, 3 p.m., our build-up to the big game. Tonight will begin on our channels, and this is it. So 3 p.m., we've got the build-up of the Nigeria versus Ghana game on GTV, on Sports Plus. You see all the channels are there. Then 7 p.m., we've got a couple of games that you can watch. We've got the Algeria, Cameroon. 7 p.m. We've also got the Tunisia, Mali game. Same time. All the games are kicking off at the same time. Morocco, DR Congo, and then we've got Senegal, Egypt as well. And there's radio commentary on Unique 95.7. So this is, if you're a football person, this is like a feast. It's a feast for you. Starting 3 p.m. with our build-up on GTV, on Obonu, on Garden City Radio, Garden City TV, and then also on Sports Plus. So you want to stick with the GBC channels for the games that are going to decide which 5 teams out of the 10 qualify for Qatar 2022. Quick prediction. Well, yes.
Okay. I'll go by D. Dramani's word.
Okay.
When I met him. Just after the game we spoke.
Okay.
1-1.
1-1. 1-1 is enough for us. Coach.
I cannot say anything contrary. I am looking forward to is that Ghana will score.
Is it important for us to score early?
Not early. The time does not really matter.
Just score.
It is up to us to score.
Okay.
Then Nigeria will play catch up.
That's what we need.
Will the lights go off?
The lights? Well, I'll leave that to
Coach Abukari Tampaz, former Black Stars goalkeeper, used to play for RTU, had a wonderful time in Malaysia back then. When I need to sit you on my couch one day, we'll have a nice talk about goalkeeping and life and all that stuff.
I know, because I know goalkeeping will soon become one of the highest points in your family.
I receive it. Thank you so much. And Benjamin Willie Graham, I prophesy that you will win more awards. Man.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yes, indeed.
Your son was a goalkeeper, yeah?
He is.
He is a goalkeeper.
Not was.
Yes.
No, you know why? He was a first goalkeeper because he was not selected.
Yes.
So he told him to go and be in the post.
Now he's the
best. Yeah, he's the best.
So that's it. We shall win today. Inshallah. This is GTV Breakfast for today, the 29th of March 2022. And happy birthday to all of you who are celebrating your birthday. Seria Magodua, Reverend Azuma, and the president of the land, President Nana Addo Dankwa.
And then the brother of the FA president.
And the brother of the FA.
Hello.
Yes, Daddy.
Oh, Sidi. With your voice, no teaching my okay. I can't live without you. Talk to me.
Daddy, the money.
Oh, yeah. I'm in short to Hanya Sankitu. Oba money for you now that you'll be able to me. Papa. What is it? Have you real phone? Yeah, may I my wife? Who is it?
It's your Beneto. You think slave queens are cheap?
Oh,
just use ZPay to send me 1,000 Ghana cedis. After all, the charge is only 5 cedis.
Come inside. Surprise visit.
The money.
Oh, okay. ZPay mobile money.
ZPay. Oh, thank you so much. I can even use the same ZPay mobile money to pay my bills. Now let's
dial *270# to pay all your bills with ZPay mobile money.
ZPay Shatumu Direct.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ted Spear, pastor of the Fundamental Baptist Church International in Kumasi, Ghana. I'd like to welcome you to join us here on GTV every Saturday morning from 6:30 to 7 a.m. Please join us as we discuss the scriptures each and every Saturday morning. God bless you.
Kings and nations tremble at his voice. All creation rises.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling helping.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant.
Or room service?
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
some paetia. Obayans can some. Say, Mafu to some Kakrewa Supreme.